Hey Mom, how you doing? So I thought I'd make you a video instructional thing about how to make the almond flour bread, because I've made it, I don't know, maybe 40 times now, and it's taken me a while to make it just right. So when I started with the written instructions, you know, it didn't come out perfect, so now I feel like I've refined it, so it'll be fun to make a video and show you how I do it. So here we go. Alright, welcome to Mike's Kitchen. We're making almond flour bread today. So what do you need? You need 8 ingredients. You need almond flour. You need, this is a sweetener. It's called monk fruit. This is what I like to use. It's got no calories and it doesn't raise your blood sugar level. Then you need some kind of salt. Sometimes I use Himalayan salt, but this is, what is this, sea salt? I forget what it is. Just some salt. You want to use baking powder. You don't want to use baking soda. Baking powder. I like to throw a teaspoon of onion powder in the bread. It makes it taste really good, so I like that. Then we use, what is this? Cream of Tartar. It gives it, I think it gives it like a little bit of a sour taste. It's kind of nice. I like it. And then you need 6 eggs. And it works best if they're like really large eggs, enormous eggs. So that's 7. The last thing is butter. Okay, and then what do we use? Oh, I think it's Kelly's butter. Yeah, it's really good. It's got a nice salty taste. All right, so those are the ingredients. And then for tools, you're going to need a little cup to melt the butter. You're going to need a measuring or something to beat the eggs in. You're going to need to have standing egg whites. You need a sifter, because anytime you make bread or any type of a bakery, you want to really sift out any of the hard, crunchy stuff that might be in your flour. Big mixing bowl for mixing the dry ingredients and then mixing them all together, the liquid and dry at the end. You need a tablespoon, teaspoon, half cup, 1 cup measuring cups. I like to use this plastic cooking sheet to hold my my dries, my dry mixture. I'll show you how I use that. You need some kind of a rubber spatula for you know, working in the bowl and putting everything into the baking pan. Use a ladle. I'll show you how I do that. You need a pair of tongs to pull this thing in and out of the oven. And I really like using this. This is a silicone cupcake tray. It's really nice because you don't need to add like paper cups, and you don't have to put any butter or, you know, any type of grease to release the cups. They never get stuck, and it's just really easy to work with. And then you need a hard cutting board to keep this tray from getting all wiggly when you try to put it in the oven. And then yeah, we're gonna put it all in the oven. Oh, we got some stuff on the oven. Don't ignore the mess. But we're gonna cook this at 375 for about 18 minutes. You know, temperature will vary, or time will vary. You know, temperature and time will vary in your kitchen. You know, because you know they're never perfect. All right, so that's the start. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to you need 4 tablespoons of butter. So I'm gonna. It might have been 3. I forget what it says in the recipe, but I now use 4. So 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm gonna stick them in here and melt them down, and then I'm gonna start on the dry ingredients. So there we go. So I made this recipe so many times I don't have to. I can eyeball the amount of butter. Just kind of, because of the shape of it, you know, I need to cut a nice square. Put that in my container. And I'll pop that in the microwave. Let me see. Put this back in the, yeah, so you only have to put this butter in the microwave for like 30 seconds. But you make sure you want to cover it because it'll spit and it'll make a mess. So 30 seconds. While the butter's cooking, I just wanted to mention that you don't want to put the butter away after you cut it. You want to leave it out on the counter, let it get nice and warm, because when these muffins are done, from the time you start to the time, well, from the time I start to the time they're coming out of the oven, it's about an hour. Butter's sitting there, it's kind of warmed up and really nice. You got to have some fresh out of the oven. It's a law, isn't it? I think it's a law. So anyway, that's the butter. I'm going to work on the dried ingredients now. Alright. Can't see my head. My head's chopped off. It's alright, you want to see what's going on over here anyway. Alright, so you need the sifter, and you need almond flour, and you need 1.5 cups. So grab the 1/2 cup, and just level it off in the bag. Good enough. Put that in the sifter, and put my cup in the sink. And then we'll get a cup, and put that in there. I'm looking forward to making this for you in person when I visit you in the bus. That'll be fun. Alright, so you try to clean up as you go. It's nice to put everything away as I finish it and watch all the make sure that all the ingredients get put away. Alright, so that's the almond flour, and I'll do this monk fruit. I'll do 1 heaping tablespoon. Just throw it on there. And close this up and put it away. That's good stuff. And then, okay, we have some other dry ingredients. So we got the baking powder. We need 1 teaspoon. I used baking soda before. It tastes like soap. I felt so bad, and I didn't even know that was the problem when I did it the first time. I had to do it twice. I was not happy about that. But and I made some for some friends, and they liked it anyway. This is awful. All right, so cream of tartar. I think you're supposed to add an 1/8 of a teaspoon, but I just give it 4 or 5 shakes. That looks good. Probably more than 1/8 of a. I think 4 or 5 shakes is more than an 1/8 of a teaspoon, but it tastes good to me. So that's what I do. Okay, next is the salt. You want to add a little more than 1/2 of a teaspoon. Throw that in there. I'm just dumping it all right into the sifter. I'm just going to sift it all out. Oh yeah, I forgot. You also want to have a whisk to help mix up the dry ingredients. What else? Oh yeah, onion powder. This isn't in the instructions that I sent you, I don't think. Maybe it is. But I had onion bread when I was growing up, and I always liked the taste of it a lot. So I made the bread without the onion powder the first time, and it was good. But then I added the onion powder, and it just made it super yummy. So just a teaspoon, level teaspoon, and that's it for all the dry ingredients. So now things are getting put away. Very good. I'll get the butter out so I don't forget about it. So yeah, the butter is really hot. That's why you want to do it first, and you want to take it out of the microwave and just let it sit on the counter and cool off a little bit. They say you shouldn't mix it when it's hot, but it cools off enough. So anyway, here you are. We're just going to sift out all the dry ingredients and get all the crumbs out of there. All the little, whatever won't go through the sieve. So this is almond flour. It's not like corn flour, so it's a little more coarse. You won't have this white, kind of powder on your hands like you do with white flour. So it's a little cleaner. It's kind of nice. We're almost there. There's a bunch of little stuff at the bottom. All right, so that's what's left over in there. So we'll get rid of that. Okay, we're back to the dry ingredients. So whisker, just You want to agitate mix up the dried ingredients best as you can. Usually put in a minute or so of good mixing. We're going to mix it again when we add in the wet ingredients, but you know, you just want to have it all mixed up as evenly as you can, so that you don't get a bite of bread that has, you know, too much onion powder or too much salt, not enough sugar. So just take your time. I think that to make good food, you need to really enjoy it. Put your care into it. I think it makes the food taste better. I know that's silly, but I like that notion. All right, I think we're almost there. Yeah, they say quality isn't something you build into a product. It's in everything you do. So I think that if you really care about something, you care about all of it. So you do a good job. I think it's literal how it actually translates, but okay. So whisk is done. Trying to clean up as I go. Now what? Oh yeah. So I like to take this little my cups down there. All right. So I like to take the little cookie tray or whatever, and I just kind of dump all my solids out onto it. So there, it's just sitting there. Okay, so kind of put that off to the side. Okay, and then we'll move on to the eggs. So eggs. All right, so you want 6 eggs, and you need to separate the whites from the yolks. I'm sure there's a really good way to do it, but I'll show you how I do it. Oh, camera's crooked. Sorry about that. How's that? That'll work. All right. So I just take the mixing bowl and break all the eggs open, and I try to get them in the hole so they're not broken. And I try to have 1 or 2 eggshells that are cleanly broken around the edges, because I'm going to use 1 or more of them to scoop out the yolks. I used to put it in my hands and like go like, you know, you have 2 halves of an eggshell, and you pour the yolks into one and then the other, and the whites kind of like drizzle out through your fingers, and it's kind of nasty. So I like this way better. All right, so then you try to get a clean eggshell, and kind of bring your bowl close, and you just kind of scoop them out. So, yep. And I used to try really hard to get all of the whites out, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, just most of it. We got bread to eat. We're gonna play with this stuff all day, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So anyway, so I got this recipe from a lady I used to work with at JCPenney, really nice Indian lady, and she makes it for her kids, and she had found it online, so she's passed it along to me. I was telling her about wheat belly and keto bread, and about the recipe. I found it was okay, and she said, "Oh no, you have to try my recipe." So I was so glad that I did. All right, so these are the whites, and you try to look down in there through some other colored material, like over a countertop where you can see the white eggshells if any broke in there. It's not fun to bite into eggshells in your bread, so you don't want to do that. What else? Let me save the cartons. The eggshells are kind of neat. You can actually take eggshells and crush them up. Well, what do? You can clean them out, and then you can put them in the microwave for a couple of seconds, and then crush them all up and make like a calcium powder out of it, and you can sprinkle it in your garden. You can also break up the shells and put them in, like if you have a bottle that's hard to clean the inside of it, you can crush up shells and put it in the bottle with a little bit of water and vinegar and just shake it up, and it'll like clean the inside of the bottle. Alright, so anyway, this is an electric beater and some egg whites. So basically we're going to mix this up until we have standing egg whites. I found that to make good I read to make good high, really thick fluffy egg whites, there are two things that you should do. You should have a clean bowl. You don't have any grease in it or any grease on impurities on your whatever you're using to mix it. And it also helps if your egg whites are warm. So if you're having trouble with your getting it to be really white and fluffy, make sure everything's clean and set your eggs out to let them come up to room temperature and see if that improves things for you. Also, having an electric whisker like this is awesome. I love this whisk wand, whatever it is. It does a great job. This one is it's falling apart, but it still works. So anyway. Yeah, I really like this bowl because it's not too big and it's not too small and has a handle, and I can roll the material into the whisk and make sure you don't go too far forward because I spilled it out on the counter before. But anyway. We have standing peaks. We see that it's like it becomes like Cool Whip, so that's kind of what you're looking for. Now I'm going to put the butter into the I want to do it. You only want to add like a little bit because it's kind of hot, and normally I use two hands, but I'm just one-handed today because I'm filming. I just want to add a little bit of butter. You want to do this two-handed, just a little bit of butter, and then mix it because you don't want it to cook your eggs. So. I just kind of have to film and stir at the same time because I'm not keeping focused on the thing. I'm being a cameraman and a cook at the same time. I'm doing a bad job of both. Alright, so that's it for the eggs. Almost. Oh yeah, I also found out that it's you really want to do the whites before you do the yolks, because if you do in the opposite order, you end up getting yolks on your blender, and then you're trying to whisk the whites with the yolks on the blender, and I think it doesn't let them become so fluffy. So you try it, see what happens, but that's what I recommend you do. Alright, I got a new position for the camera. We'll see if it stays there. All right, so now we're gonna mix the whites and the yolks and the dry materials together. So we need my rubber spatula, and you just take this your dries and I just kind of shake in about half, and then into the yolks, and you just stir them up. So when you're stirring up the whites, you want to be gentle. You don't want to, like, I guess, smash it, or yeah, you don't want to. You just added a bunch of air to it and made it all fluffy. So you don't want to do anything that's gonna make it flat again. So just trying to be gentle. That's kind of what they say. I don't know if I'm being gentle or not. I guess I try not to press it down like, you know, how people press down a hamburger and squish all the yummy grease out of it. Yeah, I try not to do that. So now, yes, the nice egg whites, put in about half, and then just kind of gently mix it up. I found that it can get really liquidy, so if you stirring it up too quickly, I've thrown it out of the bowl. Made a mess. So it really starts to get like a light golden pancake batter. It's nice. Okay, I'm gonna put this down again. Alright, we're back to mixing. Alright, so that was the dry ingredients into the yolks and then the whites, so I'll repeat that again. Put the rest of the dry ingredients in there. And then mix that up. You don't want to add too much at one time or it'll just get all clumpy, and then you won't have nice, smooth, velvety bread. Yeah, you can't really see. You can see my stomach in this picture. Alright, my camera's balanced on the water filter, so it's probably going to fall off any second. We'll see how this goes. Alright, and then we'll add in the... I knew that was going to happen. Try again. Stay! Alright, we'll add in the rest of the egg whites. Maybe this will stay on long enough. Hoping the camera doesn't fall down before I can finish mixing this stuff. We're a real gum and tape operation here, so hold on. Okay. Alright, so we're just gonna make sure we get it all mixed in there nice and all mixed together. Consistency, you don't want to have lumps of the white egg whites in there. And you don't want to squish it down, so you're just scooping it around and giving it a little stir. Just kind of... Alright, so we're almost there. Alright, so we're all mixed up now. It's a nice, like, white yellow color. Somewhere between almond flour and egg yolks. Alright, so I'll put this to the side, and I'll put my measuring... You really want to rinse out your measuring cup right away, because you want to rinse it off right away, because your egg whites will turn into concrete, and then it's a real pain to clean up. So anyway, here's my, put this over here. So here's my little silicone tray. It's sitting on top of the cutting board, the hard cutting board. So, okay, trying to center it on the camera. Sounds good. Okay, so then you take your ladle, and just scoop some out, and you clean off the ladle a little bit so it's not dripping everywhere. And then I figure with one ladle I can get almost 3. 1, 2, and 3. And I just repeat that for each one. I'll have some extra in the bowl, so after I go down the entire tray, I'll just go back and get the short ones. we go. And I'm really happy when I can do this without making a mess all over the top of the tray. But now that I've said that, I'm sure it's going to happen. So we'll see how it goes. It's also a little bit of a skill to learn how to manage the wet materials with the spatula and the ladle without making a mess, and to do it quickly. Oh yeah, so I forgot. When I get all my ingredients ready and I'm ready to do this, put the material in the pan, that's usually when I set the oven. Okay, yeah, once again, ignore my dirty oven. So we're gonna go bake, and we're gonna turn it 5 times. So 375, and hit start. And while we're here, I might as well do the other thing. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're gonna set this timer for set it for 18 minutes. Okay, so we'll put this off to the side, and we'll go back and finish filling up these guys. See, we're working on it. All right, we're cooking. So the oven's going. It's got 5 minutes before it gets to temperature. And we'll just fill up the short ones here. Just take your time. Make it all look nice. But even if you get the stuff on the tray, it's easy enough to just wipe it off. It's not as sticky as regular bread either, so it cleans up pretty easy. And like I was saying before, it's nice that you don't need any type of a release agent like butter or grease or paper cupcake cups inside of each one of these with a silicone baking tray, because they just pop out. It's really kind of nice. But don't be fooled. When it comes out of the oven, it's going to be 375 degrees, and if you touch it, that's you're going to burn your hand. So that's why you have the tongs, and that's why you need that hard the cutting board, so that you can slide the baking tray onto it without burning your hands, and so that the tray doesn't, so your muffins don't fall all over the floor. So let's see, I get some short ones here, and then this guy. I almost want to say I'm like really proud of how they come out every time, because they just come out perfect. I mean, they're golden brown, and they just kind of like, the surfaces are just starting to like, crack with that yummy golden, bread look. But I'm not a skilled cook. I can do some basic things, and but it's like scrambled eggs. They just come out perfect every time. I'm just so happy. I don't feel like it's me. I feel like it's just a simple recipe, and I'm just so grateful because it's so yummy and it's so easy to make. So yeah. I think humility, it's a really important part of making good bread. All right, so clean up the top, and sometimes I like, oh, wow, that one's really small. Let me steal from some of the other guys here. So we'll steal from him, and we'll steal from, there, and then we'll steal from this guy. Okay, he's looking a little better now. Yeah, and then you can just, these silicone trays are neat. You can just kind of like stir the stuff around so that it's kind of, all in the middle there, so it doesn't, bake in a funny direction. Anyway, that's it. So we got 2.5 minutes left when the oven beeps. All right, so we got about a minute left. I'm just cleaning up my kitchen while we're waiting. Alright, it's like waiting for the New Year's ball to drop. Almost there. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. Okay, whatever. Alright, so let me see, we got my tongs. So tongs, right? And when you put them in there, you want to put them long ways instead of like short ways, so that it's like you want to have the narrow ends on the edge on the left and right of the oven, so that it's, because if you do it the other way, then the front will be closer to the glass door on the oven than in the back and the sides, and then you get uneven cooking on your muffin. So you put it in the middle and sideways. So. That was Deb's suggestion. That's pretty good. So anyway, oh yeah, start it. So I run it for 18. Lift this up again so you don't have to look at my stomach. So I run it for about 18 minutes, and yeah, the directions say like 20 or 22. You can experiment with it and see what you think. I found that 18 minutes was really good because they were coming out a little dry. So you don't want dry bread. I mean, you want it to be moist. And it's also at 18 minutes, and in my oven, the tops, just get lightly browned, lightly golden. So it's lightly golden and moist. So anyway, we're gonna let that cook for another 17 minutes, and then I'll come back when it's done. We'll pop them out. I'll show you how easily they pop out onto the tray, and I'll cut them open. And you can see smoke coming out of them, and put on some butter, and then you can try it yourself. I was filming. I was taking pictures. So here they are. They're really pretty. They're brown. They look beautiful, and I got 12 of them. So enjoy. Yeah, you may. So anyway, there she is. Butter, bread. It's golden brown. Looks just like bread. Tastes just like bread. It's awesome. Enjoy. Anyway, that's how you make almond flour bread, or at least that's how I make it. So give it a try. Try it several times. Eventually you get it right, but it's like scrambled eggs. You can't screw it up. I mean, I couldn't screw it up. All right. Bye. Enjoy.